Hello everyone and welcome to Brainwaves episode 148, bringing you the best in tabletop gaming news. I'm Iain McAllister.
I'm Jamie Adams.
And I'm Oliver Kinner. And these are the headlines for the week of the 5th of August 2024. Spiel des Jahres names the winners and courts controversy. Hasbro is in the money. Diana Jones lifts up unions. All this and more on this episode of Brainwaves.
Now, we announced the winners of the Spiel des Jahres in the last episode, and to follow up on this, here are a few interviews that Oliver did with the designers of the winning games during the awards ceremony.
I'm here with Markus Slavicek. Got the right name right this time.
You got it right on the first try, so thanks.
And Arno Steinwender. Yeah. Winners of the Kinderspiel des Jahres for, I would need to translate, magic keys, the magischen Schlüssel. Yep. So you've been talking obviously during the awards ceremony about the ideas and things, and you started apparently with the treasure chest. That was a big thing. So why treasure chest? You said you were hoping to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning there was the keys, so no treasure chest. But what do you do if you have keys? I mean, you need something to unlock. So what can you unlock? Not just a simple door. It must have been something magical or mystical. So, yeah, there came the chest.
And it was a magical chest rather than a pirate chest or anything, was it, straight away?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, we realized early on that we want to go for a kids game, which also is fun for grown-ups and parents. And we thought for kids the magical theme and the mysterious theme fits our game a bit better than, let's say, a pirate theme.
Yeah.
I mean, both would work, but this was the vision we had, and also Happy Baobab, our publisher, immediately caught on with the vision, and they were on board from the first second. So
And you have to explain somehow why some keys unlock the chest and others don't. So
yes.
A good thing to explain is it's magic.
Exactly. So it's not like a pirate chest where you have your pirate treasure and you just find it and that's it. You have to find several keys and then do it. So I hear about the mechanism. It took you a while to come up with this, how to actually unlock, you could have had probably different size keys or different shaped keys and things, and you came up with a magnet, is that right? Wow, lots of experimentation went into that.
A lot of experimentation, and we didn't think a lot about different sizes because you cannot see
what it is. Yeah.
Otherwise the game wouldn't work when you see which key unlocks the chest and which not. So it was quite in the early stage that we decided to make magnets, but that was also a tough choice because finding the right magnets, not too strong, not too weak, and then all the mechanism with unlocking the chest. I mean, we wanted to really make this pop, and then it opens up, so it's a really
a magical moment when it does happen. Yeah. Exactly.
Arno spent hours in his toy factory and with laser cutters to really make the keys and the chest
where the magic happens.
As good as possible. So.
And why did you come up with the racing idea? So you walk around and you can stop and you can try the key or you can move on. So.
Yeah, so we were sure we want to have a lot of different keys, and some should unlock and others don't. But how do we distribute them among the players? So we had a few different ideas. We could distribute them with a memory mechanism, or just kind of putting them out of a bag or something like this. But at the end, the idea that stick was just a simple track, but the track wasn't emotional enough for us, so we added the push a luck mechanism, and from this moment on we were already, let's say, 80% there, so we were happy.
And then, obviously, playtesting these games. Who did you start? Obviously, I guess you two probably played it together to start with, just to get the rough idea. But quite quickly, I presume you must have brought in families and children. How did you go about that? It was
actually a long time. We just played it in our playtesting group with adults. Yeah. And tried if it's fun or not. And if it's fun for adults and the rules are easy enough, then we can go to our children group, because if you go there too early and test with children, and they say, "Well, the game is rubbish," they don't want to test it anymore, and it's not so easy to have a lot of children near you for testing. So for us, it was better first to prove it till we were satisfied. And after that, we went to the children, and then we made the fine-tuning, made some stuff easier. So that's the way.
So you basically start with more like an adult game, and then you sort of fine-tune it to make it also easy to play for the families.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. This was really informative, and congratulations again. So hopefully we'll see more from you or, designers and being put forward for the Spiel des Jahres.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
So I'm here with Matteo Statement, one of the designers of E-Mission, who won the Spiel des Jahres. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well done. You must be very excited to have won the awards with quite a serious game, really. It's a serious subject matter you're talking about here. Saving the world, obviously positive, but...
the world doesn't need saving, but humanity needs a different direction, and that's what we try to do with showing that a different direction is possible. And it's a game that tries to be both fun, because otherwise who would play it, and to be realistic, to show that yes, climate change exists, and we have a lot of solutions that we can try and implement to make it happen. So I'm really, really happy.
And obviously it has to be a cooperative game, because saving the world or trying to make changes is working together. And you couldn't make it a competitive one. So I guess that was something you started from as a concept.
We briefly thought about a semi-co-op or a competitive game, but it felt that it would be kind of muddling the message. And we also had a lot of conversations and realized that cooperation is something that is so important for this type of big challenge, and giving players a way to try it, to enact it, to see all the complexity, to see all the challenges, to see all the opportunities through a board game, which is a great experience to bring things together.
And clearly, obviously, as a cooperative game, you do have to talk quite a lot to make sure that you're working together. But ultimately, you playing your cards, so you're doing what you need to do as a player, but also look out for what other players are needing. So that communication element is quite a strong part of the game, talking about what's happening.
Yeah, we decided to not limit communication in any way, so that players can talk about anything concerning the game. There are no restrictions, but at the same time, as you said, there's lots of cards. Every player is in charge of their own part of the world, if you like, and they really feel that agency. They really feel that individual autonomy. And what tends to happen when people play is that they start by just looking at their own section and get this kind of tunnel vision. And then slowly, maybe by round 2 or round 3, they start to realize that we can still win this if we go alone, but it makes much more sense that we talk to each other, that we cooperate truly. And that's a really nice moment for them. So cooperation is not necessary, I would say, but it's definitely helpful to increase the chances of winning.
And makes the experience different. And speaking about the experience, you also have included QR codes for people to actually find out more information. I understand you've worked with lots of experts to get the information together to make sure it is actually correct and all that. And some of these experts are also gamers themselves, so have they helped playtest this game?
Yeah, totally. So we were so lucky to... We reached out to a lot of the people that we were reading books from, or that had interesting work in the climate space. And many of them responded quite enthusiastically, saying, oh, this is my job, but also I love games, and so I would really like to talk to you and help you and make sure that... And that's great, because they both understand that you can't have a super accurate but also probably more complicated model of the science of climate change. because that wouldn't be playable. So those conversations were really, really helpful for us to understand what's doable and to shape the game. And then we had a grant after the game was crowdfunded to bring those experts that had kindly donated us their time to write all the content for the cards. We have something like 50,000 words on the website combined, so it's it's like a book.
Huge amount of information.
Yeah, 30, 40 people write, and they're all experts in their area. And that's available for free. So you scan the code on each card. It tells you how to play that card, but it also tells you what that card represents in the real world. And so it makes that connection very, very accessible.
Yeah, that's amazing. I was going to say, you can sort of play the card and afterwards go, okay, what did it actually do there? What does that mean? And all that. That's amazing. So, well, thanks very much for your time and congratulations again. Very much deserved winner of the Kinderspiel. So thank you very much, Matteo.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Oliver.
Thank you.
So I'm here with Manuel Sanchez.
Yes.
And Christian Lemay.
Exactly.
From Sky Team, from the publishers and the marketing team, who've won the Spiel des Jahres. And first of all, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
It must have been amazing to see, to get that prize. I think you were both very emotional talking about it, and it must have been a huge surprise. So what does winning mean to you then?
As a publisher, it means a lot. It's been we have been working on games for a long time, and Christian for a very, very long time. Since Scorpion Masquerade
began in 2000. I began publishing game in 2006, and I think that I learned, let's say, the hard way by making a lot of mistakes. I'm very tired of learning. And when Manuel joined the team in 2015, we both learned from each other. We learned a lot, and we grew together. And I think that's
you become your own team now,
yes,
basically, which is very fitting, obviously, for the game.
And this game has been built brick by brick on all this success and failure all this year. So it's an achievement for us to have been able to do something like that. We put everything that we knew and everything that we'd be able to do in that game.
So the hard work paid off finally, and that's why it's so emotional.
Some publishers are so talented, they win the Spiel des Jahres on their first game. But it was on our maybe 50th, 50 games, but really I'm proud of it because we progress as a team and as a publisher.
Yeah. And what attracted you to the game? You're talking about, you looked at it and you sort of immediately liked it. You were saying that you played it, you didn't do very well, but your pilot was piloting you through.
So the first time I played it was with a good friend at home, and we lost 7 times on the prototype. But we still wanted to play, and when you lose so badly in a game and you still want to play, that's a sign. And then it was during COVID, and we had a tabletop simulator version of the game, and I called Manuel quickly to play with him online, and he immediately said, Christian, you have to sign that game, give the designer whatever he wants, but sign that game.
Amazing. And obviously, you're obviously very passionate about it, and you were thinking the whole team, as we always say, it's not just the designer, it's not just the illustrator, it's not just the publisher, but the publisher itself is obviously lots of people.
Yeah, and people say that we are as strong as the weakest of our links. So if your marketing is not top-notch, no one will know that your game exists. It can be the best game in the world. It makes no sense. If you're not able to produce the game, to send it in the factory and have it produced, all the work will worth nothing. Same for logistics and everything. So it's very important that we have a very strong team in Montreal, and they're all very good.
Yeah, very good work. And just to remind everyone, the designer isn't here, couldn't make it, so hence I'm talking to the publisher. But congratulations again. And hopefully from now on you might win some more awards. So
Thank you.
almost noble. It's hard work. Well done. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Thank you.
Nice. So how did you find it, Oliver?
Yeah, I was good again.
He went to Germany. It was right there.
Yeah, just around the corner.
Oh, time, magic. Oh, time, space, whatever.
Got this thing on the airplane.
I'm back, and no, it was good. I always think the ceremony is really well organized. It's very formal, very Hollywoody in a way as well. Every year, they're obviously improving on that. This is the second one I attended. This time, the sound quality was better. Thanks again for the tip on the Laravel mics, Iain.
No,
appreciate that.
There was a live translation of the ceremony as well on YouTube, which is really cool.
Yeah, for the first time, people who didn't speak German but spoke English could pick up like a headset and a little thing that they carried around with them to listen to it, and that was quite amazing.
Oh, did they have that live and
had it there? So yeah, for the people who actually at the ceremony could listen in live translation. So that it's really good. So they're trying to obviously clearly attract more international visitors and attendees, I suppose. Also, we have a lot of designers that are French and who tend to speak English, or Italian designers who speak English. So English tends to be the sort of common language for most of the people who go there, if it's not German.
Well, it's nice to see, it's good to see making the others catch up for once.
Yeah.
Like, no, yous all need to be understanding the German.
Exactly.
Now we're going to throw you a bone and be very nice to you. Here you go. Here's a little thing for you.
In the dim and distant past, I had some actually conversational German in my head, but it's not been used for a long time. It is atrophied somewhere in my brain.
Get him, Oliver.
No, I'm going to try it now.
I'm not doing the rest of the cast in German. That'd be a bad idea. But we are not done with the Spiel des Jahres just yet. During the Spiel des Jahres awards ceremony on Sunday, the 21st of July, Matteo Menapace, co-designer of Kennerspiel des Jahres winner E-Mission, which is called Daybreak in the UK, was seen to be wearing a watermelon slice sticker on his t-shirt. Now, watermelon slices have become synonymous for Palestinian support since the start of the Israel-Gaza war because they feature the colours of the Palestinian flag. However, the watermelon slice sticker that Menapace wore was in the shape of what is known as Greater Palestine. That shape is considered anti-Semitic in Germany because it implies the dissolution of the State of Israel. While the significance of the sticker was missed during the award ceremony and therefore appeared in many of the videos, Harald Schrappers, chairman of Spiel des Jahres, and Christoph Schelwinski, deputy chairman, asked Menapace to remove the sticker as soon as it became clear what it represented. The following day, on Monday the 22nd of July, during the Spiel des Jahres press conference, Harald Schrappers made a statement about what had happened. The statement is in German, and you can find a link to it in our show notes. The following is our English translation.
The Spiel des Jahres Association has been supporting the Spielende für Toleranz, literally translated as Playing for Tolerance, initiative for years, and thus unequivocally positions itself against all forms of racism and anti-Semitism. We find it intolerable that a game designer we invited wore a symbol on stage that must be perceived as anti-Semitic by Jews. With this action, the designer also behaved extremely uncooperatively towards the other parties involved in his game, designer, developers, publisher.
As the news became more widely known, a large number of people took to social media to criticise the Spiel des Jahres decision as being disproportional and to show their support for Menapace. Per Sylvester, German board game designer of such games as The King is Dead and Brian Baru, responded to some of the social media posts trying to put the situation into context. He said this:
Most of my social media timeline is now divided. The first impulse of most German board game media people was an outcry about the supposedly anti-Semitic pin, while the American side is outraged because of the free speech violation. I think it's hard to overstate how common the concept of the first interpretation is here in Germany. Germany is very sensitive towards anti-Semitism that makes it difficult to have nuanced debate, as people often regard the extremist reading of the symbols as true. The political climate in Germany is very sensitive on these issues, with a big hesitance to criticise Israel in any way for fear of being misunderstood. That's why this conflict has led to extra sensitivity.
A few days later, on Friday the 26th of July, Matteo Menapace posted his response on Medium.
My decision to wear a watermelon sticker on the Spiel des Jahres stage on Sunday was to show solidarity with Palestinian civilians. The watermelon is a symbol of Palestinian resilience in the face of decades of oppression. I bought the sticker from Wear the Peace, an organization that donates 100% of their profits to humanitarian aid. I acknowledge the current and historical context that has led to Spiel des Jahres as a German institution to respond with heightened sensitivity to allegations of anti-Semitism. I take those allegations very seriously. However, debating the shape of the sticker and pushing for an anti-Semitic interpretation is a distraction. Instead, I want to draw attention to the reality of thousands of Palestinian people who are being wiped off the map and are in dire need of humanitarian and medical services. No human being or group of people should be erased because of their ethnicity, religion, or nationality. I hope we can all agree on that. All humans deserve peace and justice. I believe this won't be possible until the end of what the International Court of Justice has recently defined as unlawful occupation. What we can do as citizens of Western nations is to put pressure on our governments to take responsibility for their historic role in this injustice and end our complicity with their funding and enabling of war crimes. These actions and views are entirely my own and do not necessarily reflect those of anyone else involved with Daybreak/emission.
And now there's been no further response from the Spiel des Jahres as of the time of recording, which is on the 2nd of August 2024. Now, this is obviously an incredibly difficult and quite nuanced conversation, one that cannot be really had on social media because people get very polarized very, very quickly. Personally, I think Spiel did overreact. I think a lifetime ban seems a bit much. I do think they could have explained the reasons for what their reaction a little bit better to put things in a cultural context, because I can understand that Germany is very sensitive to such issues for obvious reasons. I mean, in a way, what's happened has done what Matteo wanted. It's got people talking about the massacres in Gaza. In a way, it started it's brought attention to that conversation. I just think Spiel could have handled it a lot better.
Yeah, I don't know whether I can say too much to this. Obviously, being from Germany myself, I do completely understand why Spiel des Jahres reacted the way they did. The symbol is clearly, or the shape of that watermelon, or whatever shape, whatever thing it is, that shape itself does represent a greater Palestine if you're in Germany. So most Germans will see it as that. So there's no discussion about that. So Spiel des Jahres did have to do something about it. Whether they handled it well or not, I don't know. Again, I can see both sides. I do feel maybe on balance that a sort of lifetime ban maybe was an overreaction, and I'm sort of secretly hoping maybe they'll sort of pedal back on that. But they certainly had to do something about it. As I say, it's very hard for me to sort of sum this up in a few minutes on this cast.
It's a very, very tricky conversation.
I think it's also worth remembering, for my 2 cents, that I have a very similar opinion to this to Iain. As you know, we both have very similar backgrounds. Yeah. I'd just like to add that it's important to remember for everybody that anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism are absolutely not the same thing and should not be conflated.
Yeah, that does happen quite a lot. Anyway, let's move on from these difficult conversations onto the rest of the headlines.
On Thursday, the 25th of July, during its second quarter earnings call with investors, Hasbro announced that tabletop game sales in quarter 2 of 2024 were up 3% year-on-year in the Wizards of the Coast and digital gaming segment, from $298.5 million in quarter 2 of 2023 to $307.6 million in quarter 2 of 2024. Magic the Gathering sales, including both tabletop and digital, were up 8% year-on-year, same quarter, from $311 million in 2023 to $336 million in 2024. Part of the increase was due to the success of Modern Horizons 3 as the fastest-selling Magic the Gathering set of all time in the first week of release. Chris Cox, CEO of Hasbro, compared the success of Modern Horizons 3 to that of the Lord of the Rings Magic the Gathering set when he said,
"We expect Modern Horizons 3 to, if not be our best-selling set of all time, certainly be a contender for it."
Digital sales showed the biggest increase. They were up 87% year-on-year from $77.1 million in 2023 to $144.4 million in 2024. The main contributor to the rise was the mobile video game Monopoly Go. It made over $3 billion in revenue since its launch on the 11th of April 2023, making the company the top licensor of video games in the past year. For the full year, Monopoly Go is expected to generate around $105 million in licensing revenue for Hasbro. So the licensing revenue is the income earned by a company for allowing its copyrighted or patented material to be used by another company. Highlighting the success of Monopoly Go, Cox said on the call,
"We don't quite get the seasonality yet. However, where I do think we have some bullishness is on the mid and long-term prospects for the game. When you look at games that reach this hyperscale like Monopoly Go has, 10 of the 20 best performing games have been out for 5 or more years. So this is a game that's going to be a really strong and positive annuity for us for a long time to come."
Overall sales in the Wizards of the Coast and digital gaming segment were up 20%, mostly driven by digital and an international publishing deal. In comparison, Q1 sales were only up 7%. Wizards of the Coast was extremely profitable, driven by increases in higher margin digital sales, supply chain productivity gains, and lower royalty payments. Cox also announced that pre-orders for the new Dungeons & Dragons core books are going better than expected, and that digital revenues are over half the sales for the brand due to the success of D&D Beyond, which now has over 18 million registered users. The Wizards of the Coast and digital gaming segment was mostly responsible for carrying the company. Overall, Hasbro sales were down 18%, mainly due to the sale of E1, the film and television division. So,
How much money?
That's
Monopoly
a lot
Go.
of big numbers in there, right? 18 million D&D Beyond users. That's incredible.
No, 3 billion in like under a year and a half.
I don't know.
Monopoly Go.
On Monopoly Go. Have either of you guys played Monopoly Go?
No.
Well, as the internet's number one Monopoly,
I can't judge it.
number two Monopoly head behind, of course, the guy who owns the most Monopoly sets in the world, I can say that, of course, I have not played it.
No.
Yeah.
But obviously we're missing out because everyone is enjoying it.
Yeah. Apparently, yeah. And it sounds like they've got plans to keep it around for some time.
Yes, I wonder. They were very definitive that the new edition or the new new printing of Dungeons and Dragons books would be compatible with 5th Ed stuff.
Yeah,
so
that's always been the case. I think some people are surprised by that, but that's always been basically the case. It's out now, basically. Like there's some like Gen Con is happening as we record, and there are some number of books to be bought at Gen Con.
Physical copy. Yeah. I think it was the first 3 maybe, or if not, definitely the Player's Handbook.
And there's been, obviously the embargo's been lifted because I've started to see some reviews come out of the Player's Handbook, which is what's being getting released. Because they're getting released slowly over time. It's not like all 3 books are at Gen Con. Player's Handbook is now, and then I think it's the GM's Guide, then the Monster Manual sneaks into 2025, I think.
Come on, Wizards of the Coast. What?
Yeah, I think that's how they're doing it. But yeah,
anyway,
D&D Beyond's going to be massive for them. New VTT as well coming out probably.
Is it actually coming out, or is it still just rumblings?
I haven't heard anything out of Gen Con yet. So, but yeah, as far as I'm aware, that like the whole thing seems to be they're tying everything much more into their digital offering, into D&D Beyond, into that subscription kind of side of things. That seems to be where D&D is going, and their own VTT seems like a way to go with that. Certainly, most of that stuff's on Roll20 at the moment, and some other like Foundry and things like that. But yeah, I mean, they've announced a new VTT before with 4th edition, but that never came to anything. So, but then again, those weren't as big then for reasons. Anyway, yeah, big numbers. Yeah, lots of big numbers.
Well, despite those big numbers, Hasbro didn't win an award. But Jamie, there is another award.
Oh yeah. The Diana Jones Award, the annual Diana Jones Award for Excellence in Gaming, is presented to the person, product, company, event, movement, concept, or indeed any other thing that has, in the opinion of its committee, best demonstrated the quality of excellence in the world of hobby gaming, sometimes described as the Nobel Prize of Gaming. In a Twitter post, the Diana Jones Award announced on the 1st of August the winner for 2024 as... drumroll... United Paizo Workers, the first workers' union in the tabletop gaming industry, which was voluntarily recognised in 2023 from Paizo Inc. management. As we reported in episode 144 of the podcast, the Union was one of the nominees for the 2024 award, alongside Adepticon, the miniatures game convention in the Midwest, Ami Bio, a game designer and owner of Pink Tiger Games, Fastival, an RPG and board game convention in Denmark, and TTRPGs for Trans Rights in Florida, a charity bundle organised by Rue Dickey. Alex Speidel, organiser of the Union, said this when receiving the award.
I want to talk about fear for a minute. When you're organizing a union, you encounter a lot of fear. People are afraid of losing their job. They're afraid of making management mad. And even those of you who are leading the charge are swallowing a ton of fear that you're leading your co-workers into ruin. The games industry is small. One of the biggest fears we encounter is the fear that standing up at work, that forming a union will get you put on a list somewhere that says at the top, do not hire this person. We love what we do. We love making games. And so this fear that taking this huge step will be the end of the road for us is so persistent. By nominating us for the Diana Jones Award, you have said that advocating for yourself and your co-workers is not something to be feared. By naming us the winner, you have absolutely obliterated this huge barrier. I can't begin to tell you what this means to us, what it's going to mean for the industry and every single worker in it. To the workers, you can do this. You can make your workplace, your lives better. You don't have to live at the whim of investors. You don't have to fear your jobs. And you don't have to make company leadership solve every problem on their own. You deserve a seat at the table, and the luminaries in our industry have just said that they agree. Thank you so much to the Diana Jones Committee for your solidarity. Thank you to the 46 Paizo staffers who formed our initial bargaining unit, and the 60 of us standing strong together. To our stewards, Andrew, Brian, Jenny, Joe, and Rue, and to everyone who served on the organizing committee, this makes all the long hours worth it. We couldn't have done this without the support from the CWA, Ted Hooker, Art Clements, and everyone on the CODE-CWA campaign. To the 40-plus Paizo freelancers who held the line, we couldn't have gotten here without you, and we will never forget your bravery. Solidarity forever.
Alex was joined on stage by the two of the people he thanks, Jenny Jarjapski and Rue Dickey. The award was given out by game designer Matt Forbeck. Alex posted on Blue Sky the day after the event.
I'm once again begging other game workers to email me at alex.speidel@unitedpaizoworkers.org. Our union is great. Our union is 60 people. The whole industry needs and deserves this, and we can help you.
The Brainwaves teams send huge congratulations to Paizo Workers Union.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, amazing.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. And it's worth pointing out, if you're listening to this, obviously, and you're not, for example, in America, North America, that there is a very different opinion of trade union movements and union movements in general in, let's say, North America, especially the United States, compared to Europe and the UK.
Yeah.
And so it's been a very big struggle for them. We've reported it on it a lot, and this is it's just so wonderful to see it.
Yeah, and there is the start of a sort of tabletop games union over here as well. We reported that on a couple of casts ago. If you go to the Tabletop Indie Network, they are part of that, and we'll put a link to that in the show notes so you can go and join in with that if you want to.
Yeah, so it's a huge win. And if you didn't catch that email address, obviously there will be a link in our show notes. Now, on to the news.
Braincrack Games is a UK publisher behind such games as Farsight, Dead and Breakfast, and Venice. The publisher crowdfunded their most recent game, The Gig, a real-time dice roller and placement themed around instruments in a jazz band, and most countries have received their copies. However, there is one large country whose backers have not seen their copies: Canada. On the 17th of July, backers received an update from Lewis Shaw, who's the Braincrack founder, which offered an explanation for the situation.
Last year, we accepted support from another company, and they strongly recommended we switch to a new US fulfillment partner called Gamerati. We weren't aware of how they operated, but took the advice in good faith and changed our plans. We asked for a quote a few times, but didn't get one, and this should have set alarm bells ringing, but I kept the faith. As we have done previously, we sent US and Canadian orders in one shipment to the US. hoping that they would be able to manage a fee-free postal injection to you as our previous fulfillment partners had done. We gave them the order info, and after the games had arrived with Gamerati, we were told all the orders had been shipped out. Then we found out, from you guys, that in fact nothing had been received outside the US. At this point, Gamerati told us that actually, no, they didn't ship to Canada. Great! Then they gave us the bill for the US fulfillment, which was substantially more than we were expecting. We knew we couldn't afford it, literally, so we asked that your games be set aside until something could be arranged. We tried everything, even asking if they would be willing to send your games onwards to you if you guys paid them for delivery directly. We tried introducing them to a distributor so they could sell some of the unsold stock themselves to help pay the bill. But they weren't happy with anything we proposed. And admittedly, I can't put the blame entirely on Gamerati for this. Eventually, despite my best attempts, Gamerati decided to take possession of our stock and cut off communication with us entirely. So, to cut a long story short, we no longer have the games that we made for you.
On the email, Shaw offers an apology for the silence on Braincrack's end.
As discussed in previous updates, our business has been struggling financially for quite some time. It's been a long line of delays, price increases, unexpected costs, interest rates, overheads, and so on and so on. Compound this with the fact that, if I'm being completely honest, financial planning has never been my strongest skill, and the result is a very difficult journey indeed. I take no pleasure in failure. And honestly, watching the business we spent 8 years building slowly go up in flames is breaking me.
Now, this obviously sounds incredibly bad for Braincrack, the backers, and the future of the company. Braincrack was one of those companies that came on the UK scene around about the same time as Alleycat Games, who are still about. And unfortunately, the other one that was on the scene at the same time, it was ITB, who are, of course, no longer due to a lot of financial mismanagement, actually. And yeah, I going with a fulfillment partner you know nothing about, asking for a quote from them and then not getting it, and then still going ahead on faith is just, I do not understand that decision at all. Especially if you had a fulfillment partner already that you trusted. That decision seems absolutely unhinged.
Yeah. In the update, Lewis does say, if you wish to message me on Kickstarter to request a refund, please do so. But know that I do not have the funds available to refund everyone at this point, so these will only be processed at some point in the foreseeable future.
I mean, let's hope that something happens, something good comes out of this, like with ITB being taken over by Naylor Games. And, you know, maybe some of these games that are held by Gamerati can then be released. But even if that does happen, it's not going to be anytime soon. So we'll have to see what happens. It's one of those things.
It's a really terrible shame.
Yeah, it is indeed.
Now we got some more Hasbro-related news. Wizards of the Coast, a Hasbro subsidiary that is the publisher of Dungeons & Dragons and Magic the Gathering, seems to be removing credits for folk that worked on the books. This story was first reported on Iain World. Faith Elizabeth Lilly, one of the members of that team, said this.
I just discovered that I'd been removed from book credits on D&D Beyond for books I worked on while at Wizards of the Coast. Background. While at Wizards, so after D&D Beyond was purchased, with numerous books, my digital content team and I worked directly with the book team on the content, reading through the rules draft, suggesting changes, giving ideas, and catching issues. We had a full database of the content and understood exactly how it interacted. Given that we were contributing to the content of the books, I felt it reasonable to request that the team be added to the credits, but was informed the credits section was already too crowded with the number of people involved, and many of the marketing team had already been dropped from the credits. I felt strongly that anyone actually contributing to what was in the printed book should be credited though, so we agreed a compromise, that the team would be added to the credits page on D&D Beyond only, as there is no issue with not enough space on a web page. I've added screenshots here that I had for some of the books. At some point recently, those credits pages have been edited to remove the credits for me and the content team. Nobody reached out to let me know, it just happened at some point and I only just noticed. We've even been removed from the digital-only releases that only released on D&D Beyond, such as the Spelljammer Academy drops. I'm not angry or upset, just yet again really disappointed as somehow I expected better.
Elizabeth goes on to say that the team gave lots of feedback on the books and had contributed ideas for content that found its way into some of the books. Elizabeth no longer works for Wizards of the Coast. Now, this is an awful situation, obviously. Just removing people's names after having them, put on there and not letting them know and all those things. I mean, what can you say? Especially on the webpage, it doesn't cost anything to have those names on there.
It costs them absolutely nothing to list this, does it? I mean, you could even put a QR code in the physical book to the credits page if you really wanted to go that far. For
even that's a slap in the face because it's going, we don't want to actually put your names down in print. We'll just,
Now, there is a consideration there that I slightly understand. I agree that it's bad, but on a project the size of Dungeons and Dragons, you could be talking several extra pages, and that's profit margin to Wizards. I understand why they may have made that decision. I can also understand why people want credited.
I get that, Ian, and I get you talking about profit margin, but we've just talked about the earnings for Hasbro.
Yeah, I know.
About the earnings for Wizards of the Coast. I'm sorry. You look at Kickstarter books. You look at role-playing games that have been crowdfunded. Do you know what? They don't have the resources of Hasbro, and yet they still put all the backers. And that's backers, not people who worked on it. I'm sorry, this is absolutely appalling. I mean, Games Workshop did it a while ago, taking people's names off writing codexes and army books. And now, if you look on the website for articles, it's just like the first names of people.
It also means that those workers can't use that as on their CV, basically, as well, which is really bad.
It's awful.
It's in many ways erasing their...
Yeah, I mean, it's happened in the computer games industry quite a lot as well.
Yeah,
as it is my understanding. Yeah,
absolutely appalling. And see if this is and this is a big issue to you people. And if you're listening and this has happened to you, listen to the news story from before. Unions, representation.
Yeah,
I'm not joking anymore. It's not funny.
Yeah, and let us know, please, if you've been left out of books by companies that we've reported on. Please let us know.
That's
We'd love
really
to hear
just
from you.
made me mad.
Yeah.
No, I'm not surprised.
Oh, how dare you.
Anyway, mentioning Kickstarters, Jamie.
Yeah, and on the subject of fun, Funforge, publishers of Tokaido, have been having fulfillment issues with their crowdfunding projects. After finally delivering Namiji, the follow-up to Tokaido, Funforge has had years-long delays for Monumental, the Matthew Dunstan-designed Civilization game. A Kickstarter for a reprint funded in 2020 to the tune of €467,294 was meant to deliver the following year. Well, it's now 2024, and there are still no signs of the game, leading Board Game Wire to try and find out what's going on. It turns out that a $250,000 hit for extra costs on the campaign has effectively left the games in limbo, waiting at delivery hubs for Funforge to raise the money to finally get the products shipped out. The company posted in December 2023 the shipping was about to begin. That's yet to happen. An update was promised in May, and nothing's been heard. Funforge CEO Philippe Nura told Board Game Wire there should be a backer update soon.
Fortunately, we've found a solution through an important contract that should be signed in the weeks to come to solve most of our financial issues and therefore to be able to deliver almost all of the remaining games. Yes, I said there would be an update in May, and no, we haven't posted it. That's the truth, and the reason why is that the company has been facing a lot of financial challenges for several months, notably because of the loss of money suffered by the Monumental campaign.
The company has been selling some copies of the game they have to raise funds, which has understandably angered backers further. They've also cut the team size in order to try and cut costs, including their communication director, Charlotte Noël. Nura said that the impending update...
We'll summarize all this and inform our community that we are planning to complete the deliveries by September.
He also said this about the state of Kickstarter.
You have no idea how tired I am of all of this. This is also the reason why we decided to definitely give up on Kickstarter. The business model is globally broken, way too dangerous and deceptive for the backers. Well, here, I think.
Personally, yeah. Exactly. I completely agree on the comments about Kickstarter.
Yeah.
But coming from a company that's used Kickstarter a lot and is now like, this has gone wrong for us, therefore Kickstarter is broken, is a bit... Yeah.
Now it's gone wrong, but okay, this might be
gone wrong for them. I mean, it's been going wrong for a while, don't get me wrong, but it's now, I think it feels like sour grapes to me. Like they've had an okay time. They delivered immediately for sure, but they've been using Kickstarter for a while, and now it's gone badly wrong. They're like, Kickstarter is broken, not we screwed up.
Mm.
I mean, both can be true, but it sounds like sour grapes to me.
And I must say, I also always wonder with these campaigns going wrong, what happens to payment to like designers. I mean, Matthew Dunstan was named there, who I've spoken to in the past. And, you know, I remember him mentioning that some publisher didn't pay for stuff. So I'm wondering whether this is stuff that's related to it.
I mean, it was
illustrators, all the other. Yeah, I know, but there probably was like some license agreement. I don't know, you know, so.
Yeah,
there's obviously not just us backers who might be impacted by that, as well as obviously the company, but lots of other people as well, and the cuts obviously we've been talking about as well. So, huge thing.
Did you back Monumental, Oliver?
I know I didn't, but I included us as backers as in.
No, that's very reasonable because it's still something that happens to a lot of backers. I mean, look at Mythic Games that we've covered over for a very long time.
I mean, I spy copies of Rainbow Six Siege down at UK Games Expo. I posted a picture of that in my blue sky. Yeah. Look, there is.
Also, Iain and I played Namiji in an early prototype stage at UK Games Expo in 2019. And while we have enjoyed Tokaido in the past, I think we were both a little bit disappointed by Namiji. Now, I haven't played the full game.
Yeah, I've got a copy, so I'm looking at it now. So, yeah. I'm yet to play it. I haven't played it yet.
Yeah. But I do wonder if something similar to what happened to Peterson Games recently, where they basically become a design studio and like somebody takes on the publishing, the actual sort of production and publishing side of it. I wonder if that's the contract they're kind of referring to here. But it does sound a bit like sour grapes to me from the owner there. And it's the second story reported on this cast where financial problems have come around and the response of the company has to be good to go silent. When the actual response should be the complete opposite of that. It should be like complete honesty with your backers. Here's the situation we find ourselves in. Yes, that's terrible and horrible. We're really sorry. But to just absolutely clam up, that just causes you more problems, not less.
They clammed up because they got rid of the communication director. So.
Yeah, that too as well, yeah. Get rid of the person who might have been able to tell you, don't do that. Yeah. That's a very bad idea.
I would also like to offer an apology if I mispronounce the names. I am very sorry.
I think we could put that in every cast pretty much. we do our best to get pronunciations right.
Moving on from Funforge to GAMA.
Yes, GAMA, the Games Manufacturer Association, a non-profit trade organization for the hobby games industry, is going to conduct their first tabletop game retailer survey. The survey will compile information about store types, sales numbers, product mix, marketing, and other points of interest. It is planned to be an annual survey to give retailers, publishers, and industry professionals benchmark data to gauge changes and trends across the industry. The survey will be anonymous, but stores will have the opportunity to add their name and email to receive a copy of the results. Now, the last day to take the survey will be the 14th of August 2024. The last day to take the survey will be the 14th of August 2024, and results will be expected by the 28th. To take part, find a link to the survey in our show notes.
Hang on. If it's GAMA, which is usually an American company, I can't remember if that's exclusively true, but it might be America only. It's probably worth checking that beforehand.
Yeah, I think it will be mostly US focused, but there have been some UK folk on the board briefly. That board changes quite a lot, as we have reported on many times. Yeah. But this sounds like GAMA may be actually doing something in the direction of good, because that sort of data, I know we know, having reported on the industry for a very long time, that sort of data is extraordinarily hard to come by. Companies and retailers just do not talk about this stuff as widely as they do in other industries. So like actually getting some data of trends and that kind of thing could be really useful.
Now that's fine. I'd like to report on this next year and in a year again's time, because if you plan for it to be annual, that's fine. But actually delivering on the annuality, if that's such a word, of the survey is another thing.
Indeed it is. And talking about numbers, Oliver.
And annual events as well. We're talking about Brettspiel Con, the annual board game convention with exhibition space, live discussions and live play, as well as a large open gaming area. Was held this year during the weekend of the 19th to the 21st of July. And they've reported an increase in visitors. That vindicates the organizers' decision to move the event to a new home this year, the Estrel Convention Center, a modern, fully air-conditioned convention space. The convention was previously held in an old railway station for many years, which was a charming venue, but couldn't cope with the high summer temperatures. According to Berlin Brettspiel Con, The event set a new record by attracting around 16,000 visitors. Additionally, the so-called badge ticket, which allowed visitors to take part in the 2 game nights, was completely sold out 4 weeks before the event, much sooner than it ever had been. The free game library also saw 50% more games being lent than last year. The next event is planned to run from Friday the 1st of August to Sunday the 3rd of August 2025. Now, I was there, part of obviously also then seeing Spiel des Jahres. Berlin is where I come from originally, so it was nice to see Berlin again. I went there last year as well. And I must say, it is actually a really enjoyable event. I don't know whether they've been to Aircon and things like that. It's a smaller, well, actually, it's probably bigger than Aircon when it comes to exhibition space, but there's a huge amount of open gaming as well. And there's a really big focus on that. The open gaming stays open until midnight. You do have to have a specific badge, so you can just buy a ticket to attend the convention itself, so you can see the exhibitors and you can take part in the discussion forums and whatever else is happening. But if you want to do the game night, you have to sort of pay extra a bit, or you just get like a full weekend ticket. But yeah, it's very busy, even like during the day when the exhibition itself is open, people are playing. So focus on that. But then, yeah, also quite a few exhibitors. You could obviously a lot of big names from German publishers like Spiel and Cosmos and all of those as well. So yeah, pretty nice. But it's not as big as the UK Games Expo. So yeah, feels quite nice and nice to see in the new area as well.
Cool. It's also good to see a large German board game convention that is more on play as opposed to Essenspiel.
Yeah,
which I think it's still very much a trade show.
Yeah,
absolutely. I think that's the quite important part. It's a convention in the sense of, you play games. It's not like a business-to-business fair, as you would probably say in German, like Essen, where it is, you can attend, you can try and play, but chances are you're not even going to be able to move around much. So yeah, if you're interested in attending a German convention, Berlin Brettspiel Con is great. People do speak English as well. Obviously, focus is German, but we had some, got various exhibitors there, as I say. And what was nice as well, actually, the split between a sort of a smaller hall, still quite big for the smaller publishers, as well as a bigger hall for like the big names as well. And plenty of opportunities to play demos and things. So yeah, highly recommend it. And it's always going to be hot. So if you want a hot summer, hot weekends in Berlin, there you go.
Yeah. Cool.
Speaking of hot days, Jamie.
Yes, now, it's very hot today in Glasgow. But as you may know, Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, United States of America, is the birthplace of the RPG Dungeons & Dragons. The game took the world by storm, to say the least, and in recent years has had a massive resurgence, to say the least, leading to a huge growth in tabletop gaming. Gary Gygax created the game along with Dave Arneson, and to celebrate the 50th anniversary of D&D, Lake Geneva is opening an array of new experiences and tributes to mark the occasion. For example, you can visit Gary Gygax's house on Centre Street in downtown Lake Geneva. There's also a bench in Elm Park dedicated to him, as he was known to visit the park to get inspiration. However, that's not all. Lake Geneva has gone one step further and declared Gygax's birthday of the 27th of July as Gary Gygax Day. You might have missed it this year, but maybe it's time to book your 2025 summer holiday in Lake Geneva and take part in the celebrations next year. Thank you very much to Simon Marr on our Discord for bringing this story to our attention. Lovely. Also, Gary Gygax had a lot of problematic, opinions, but he was also somebody that lived predominantly in the latter half of the 20th century, always being aware, everybody.
Now, sticking with D&D history for a moment, the estate of Dave Arneson has put out a statement on the 28th of July regarding the publisher Studio Inkbat and their product Age of the Wolf. Studio Inkbat are releasing this project at Gen Con, and the cover page says Dave Arneson's Age of the Wolf. According to the Arneson estate, Studio Inkbat are claiming this is the last work of Dave Arneson before his death in 2009. The statement says they were contacted by the studio, who initially said they were planning on giving 100 copies away for free at Gen Con 2024. The estate asked for the following.
We asked Studio Inkbat multiple times to show us any documentation they have, e.g. notes, correspondence, or a contract, that shows Dave Arneson worked on this project or granted any right to his intellectual property, his name or the Blackmoor name. We asked Studio Inkbat multiple times to send us the manuscript so the Arneson family could review it to determine if it's something the Blackmore trademark could be attached to, e.g., would the family license the Blackmore name to Studio Inkbat based solely on the quality of the content? We received only a tiny sample, which contained elements easily copied from previously published material. We asked Studio Inkbat to temporarily remove any public notices about the project until the first 2 points had been addressed. This would protect them from potential liability, and was a first step for Studio Inkbat to demonstrate an appreciation for Dave Arneson and his creations. Immediate action would also have shown respect to his family members.
Now, none of these requests have been met according to the statement. Studio Inkbat replied to the estate saying, and the estate does paraphrase this in their statement,
"Well, since we're giving the book away for free, we don't need your permission."
As the statement points out, this is not how IP law works. The estate also claims that during a telephone call between the parties, the studio called the Arneson estate stupid. The promise of free books at Gen Con also seems to be erroneous. From the statement,
we discovered they're not giving The Age of the Wolf away for free, but instead shadow selling their book at Gen Con 2024. The admission fee for their 14 paid events at Gen Con is $48 per person and comes with a free Age of the Wolf book. Do you think an unknown company's first publication could sell out all 14 events at Gen Con for $48 a head if they weren't using Dave Arneson's name and the Blackmore trademark to promote it? We don't believe so. They're using the Arneson and Blackmore names to sell a publication we can only believe is a fake.
The statement makes it clear that the family would love to find more of Dave's work and help promote it, and they finish by saying this.
Again, the estate and the Arneson family are excited to discover a new Arneson Blackmore setting, assuming it is real. Thus, we are more than happy to review the manuscript, but Studio Inkbat has chosen to be unethical in our estimation.
Now, thanks very much to Corey from our Discord for bringing this story to our attention. I mean, this seems like an extremely easy problem for Studio Inkbat to solve. The fact that the family have had to put out this statement kind of speaks to the fact that they don't want to solve it because they know that they are up to no good. So, yeah, I mean, if you're, yeah, I'd love to know if if anyone I know is at Gen Con and send them a wee message saying, can you pop a Studio Inkbat stall and ask?
Unfortunately, by the time this episode goes out, Gen Con will be over.
Gen Con will be done,
yeah.
of course. But yeah, I do intend to send Studio Inkbat a message between now and the next cast to ask them about this, because this came to our attention literally today on the day of recording. So we haven't had time to do that. So I do intend to get in touch with them and see if I can get a statement out of them. We'll update you on the next cast either way.
Now, moving on to jobs, opportunities, and events.
Yes, as always, we'd like to point you to the Tabletop Jobs Facebook group. Always great jobs listings on there. So have a look. There's also a link to the website that is all collecting all those job opportunities as well. Certainly worth keeping an eye out. There's jobs in the UK, US, and I think other parts of the world as well. Now, the other thing I want to point out is with regards to Gen Con, the largest US tabletop trade shows we've been talking about. While most of the news coming out of the convention is new releases and not the sort of thing we cover, we did want to draw your attention to some of the folk exhibiting. In the run-up to the convention, Elizabeth Hargrave, designer of games such as Wingspan, Tussie Mussy, and Undergrove, shared a filtered board game geek list of featured Gen Con games, which showed games from women and gender non-conforming game designers. Even though the event is over, the list is still available for viewing. So follow the link in our show notes and peruse the list, and maybe even thumb up some of these designers to show your support.
Now, Pegasus is going to be holding virtual meetings with budding and established designers. The Pegasus Designer Days will run from the 24th to the 26th of September 2024, and registration will be open from the 5th of August. That's when your hearing is, until the 15th of September. Successful applicants will be given 10 minutes to pitch their game to the publisher in a video call. If the publishing team like the game, a playable prototype will be requested, which will be tested extensively in the following weeks. All designers will receive feedback for the games they present. Any games that Pegasus Spiel really like will be given an offer of publication. So to all you budding or established designers, register now.
Now, registration for the 2024 Global Toy and Game Industry's premier pitch and education event is currently now open. The event takes place at the Embassy Suites in Rosemont, Illinois, and runs from the 7th to 9th of November. It's still finalizing its plans, but there'll be keynote speeches, conference panels, and more. You can find out more by going to their website, and of course, there'll be a link in the show notes.
And finally, a quick shout out to my board game raffle in aid of the Trussell Trust, which looks after UK food banks. Tickets are £1. You can win prototypes, review copies, which have been played but in good condition. Every month, it'll run from the beginning of the month to the end of the month, so there's still plenty of time by the time you hear this. We've been raising, I think, coming up to £160 now the last 3 months. Hopefully this goes up. As I say, this is basically games that either have been given to me, I've been sent as review copies or prototypes. Obviously, I've spoken to the publishers that they're happy for this to go in there. If you have any games yourself you want to donate, or you're a publisher and you want to support this, please reach out to us via the usual contact details. As I say, all proceeds go to the Trussell Trust.
It's absolutely wonderful that you're doing this for the Trussell Trust. I think it's just
amazing.
Not you. This is not you. I just think it's a shocking and appalling situation that the Trussell Trust is in such need and straits because of the amount of food banks that are in this country.
Thank you. It's pretty terrible they need to exist, but it's great that there's a charity that does so, and that Oliver's doing some work, doing some money for them.
Absolutely. Anyway, I'm gonna keep politics out of board games.
Please don't.
This cast has definitely not had any politics.
No, sorry, you know me, famously apolitical.
Just a reminder that Jamie and I and Iain Chandler, previous host of this cast, will be at Tabletop Scotland over the weekend of the 6th to 8th of September. We'll be hosting the Tabletop Scotland pub quiz, and we'll also be on the floor talking to people playing games, doing interviews, and we're probably going to be hosting some of the panels as well. The event is shaping up to be really, really good. It's going to be much bigger than it has been before, and it's going to be right near Edinburgh as well, so it's going to be a bit easier to get to than it has been in previous years. We hope to see some of you there. And a wee shout out now for all our patrons. Thank you so much for continuing to support the cast. We really, really appreciate it. It helps us make sure the website stays online and this cast can keep going, especially Kevin Bertram, James Naylor, and Sean Newman. Kevin Bertram's from the Fort Circle Games, James Naylor from Naylor Games, and Sean Newman from the Game Lot team. They're our executive producers. Thank you for supporting us at that level. You can join them for $1 a month on our Patreon. You can also join for free on the Patreon. There's some extra writing I put up there every month. It's for free members as well. And I'll just notify you when that stuff goes out. You can support us in various ways on the site, and we've tidied up that bit of the page recently, so it should be a little bit easier to find out ways to support us, which includes also buying dice and accessories from Fanroll in the States. There's a little reference code in the show notes, which will give us a little cut of the profits. And you can also buy t-shirts from Sir Meeple. Both of those links will be in the show notes.
Now, Jamie, I think you got a monopoly on something. Go.
Oh, I do. I've got Monopoly on Monopoly. Oh, I tell you what we've got.
So you can Monopoly while you Monopoly.
Yeah, steady on Ice Cube or Ice Tea.
Things
anyway.
Okay, yes, thank you.
We're done with the kids.
Don't say that. Earlier in the podcast, we reported that Monopoly Go, the mobile adaptation of said board game, made $3 billion since launch, which is under a year and a half. So what better way to make more money on it than making a board game adaptation of the mobile game adaptation of the board game? That's right, a board game version of Monopoly Go. Each player is going to get a wee board of their own. And when they roll a dice and land on a coloured property space, they place part of a landmark on their board. First to 4 landmarks wins. And apparently stuff from the mobile game, such as bank heists, will affect the game and slow down landmark building. Unfortunately, I don't have any information as to when it's going to be out. But, why not? As I said, the board game...
That sounded tedious to me.
Yeah.
How dare you? Monopoly is extremely popular.
It is extremely popular, don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking the popularity of Monopoly, but that particular version of it sounded very tedious.
As an interesting little information, so the mobile games company behind Monopoly Go, Scopely, said that, as per the earnings call from Hasbro, players have passed Go over 100 billion times, made more than 15 billion visits to jail, and built over 150 billion landmarks, such as bridges or a Mr. Monopoly Statue of Liberty. And all of them is billions with a B.
Indeed. But we're not done with Monopoly yet, are we, Jamie?
Staying with Monopoly, Monopoly was first produced in the UK in 1935 by the company Waddingtons, which is based in Leeds. Now, 90 years later, Leeds has been transformed into a city-wide game of Monopoly to celebrate the history of the city's association with the game. Areas around the city have colours like the iconic properties. For example, the Royal Armouries is brown, and lots of activities are at these locations to do. Lots of puzzles and getting the values of the locations, and that will earn participants stamps. Now, what they get? Well, you'll have to go and see if you want to go. It's in Leeds, funnily enough. It runs until September, and if you want to take part, I think they've got physical maps throughout the city. I think they've got an online version that you can download, and also, as well as these events, you've got like statues of all the famous playing pieces and such like.
Wow.
I feel like we should get money from Hasbro now, because the amount of time, I think they've got enough, and we've talked about Monopoly a lot. And then on the other hand,
do you think we've affected their bottom line in a positive way?
I mean, I think we've,
or a negative way.
We have. Listen. They should be bringing a new thing of the Brainwaves marker.
Yeah, Giant Brain Monopoly.
But also, no.
On a regular triangular board.
A regular standard
triangular There's a deep cut for old listeners to the cast.
To be honest, I also feel weird about taking money from Hasbro because...
Yeah.
Do you know what? I hold them in mistrust for some reason.
Let's speak to Cox and see what he says.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chris.
Anyway.
Chris.
Oi, Chris.
Oi.
Thanks very much for listening, everyone. If you like what you've listened to, then the best way to help us out is to share the podcast and drop us a review and rating on your podcast host of choice. iTunes and Spotify are particularly helpful. You can also follow Oliver at his blog, tabletopgamesblog.com. You can come and join us on our Discord. We'll put an invite link in the show notes. I'm on Blue Sky, as is Oliver. I'm on giantbrain.co.uk. Instagram is giantbrainuk, though I don't really use that very much anymore. Our Facebook page is the Giant Brain. Website is where you can get all our work at giantbrain.co.uk, and you can email us about anything in this show, anything you'd like to say about any of the stories we've covered, or if you'd like to talk to us anonymously, your anonymity is guaranteed. Thanks very much for listening, folks. We'll see you in a couple of weeks' time.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Chris Cox, come to Tabletop Scotland. Do it, you coward.